Hello everyone, it's time for some indie games. I am
Hooray!
joined with Vordus. Hello.
Hello there! I am excited for indie games.
Well, here's the indie games. If you are just joining us, I'm gonna get the indie bingo up in the
Hey
chat.
everyone, I'm Tamor Hussain, managing editor of GameSpot.com, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Play for All showcase, brought to you by GameSpot and The Mix. In this showcase, we're going to be highlighting developers that represent the bright future of video games, boosting awareness for games and teams that haven't had as much visibility as they deserve. More importantly, we're highlighting games and teams that encourage inclusivity, tolerance, and togetherness at their core. All the games in this showcase are made by a diverse set of creators that have important stories to tell. These are all games that made us think, smile, get excited about, and feel good about what games have to offer. And we hope you feel the same way too.
What is poppin', everyone? My name is Justin Woodward, co-founder of The Mix,
Speaking of the Guerrilla
Media Indie
Collective.
Exchange, and the independent game development team in Terabang Entertainment. You guys may not know, but The Mix and GameSpot have teamed up for over 5 years now during E3 to showcase some of the most interesting indie titles that have graced our screens, with interviews and trailers from developers from all over the world. This showcase is no exception. To the sentiment that Tamor expressed, our goal is to really shed light on some gems hidden or otherwise.
So it's basically like the Wholesome Games stream, except they actually have the proper focus on what they should be showing.
And hop into our first interview with Zalaver Nelson, who will dive into his new game, El Paso Elsewhere. Let's hit it.
This is some very pretty art.
It definitely has a distinct style.
This is the GameSpot Play for All showcase. This is the final event of E3 that I will be doing coverage for.
Puppy.
Bear alert. I see a bear. Oh yeah, that was a 2D Souls-like. Patron Saint Gabe Newell in the background.
Well, that was a bait and switch. Isn't on this board, but that was a bait and switch.
What is the most powerful drink around the world?
Oh, I remember this game. This was on the Japanese indie thing.
Fight with your fists. Enter your name in its maker.
I've forgotten the name of it.
Yeah, I think it's overly simple.
It was Bit Summit. This was shown off at. I just don't remember what the name is. Super Drink Bros, that was it.
That apostrophe should not be there.
Here's the story about Billy, the quiet kid sailing at sea.
Ooh, this
One
game.
morning while fishing, the sky suddenly turns to gray.
I actually want to play this one. It
Fade away.
looks like a pretty decent platform game. Yeah, this one was in the Wholesome Expo. The Wholesome Games Showcase.
Not gonna lie, that looks really good.
Yeah.
Rainbow Billy, the curse of the Leviathan.
Ooh, the demo's coming out tomorrow.
Ooh.
I'm in a 2-story motel in El Paso, Texas, that gained another 46 stories yesterday, all below ground. It's extremely haunted. And Max is at the bottom. The RaccoonViolet.
No, Wash, this is not the Stanley
One of the
Parable.
vampires. She's waiting for me.
Someone really likes the late 90s.
It's Zalavia, the Dog Airport dev.
Oh!
Would you believe that this is a love story?
Bit of Max
I love
Payne
the person
there,
who
bit
extracts
of
And we have Zalve Nelson Jr., director on El Paso Elsewhere, rocking a Toe Jam and Earl t-shirt. How you doing, Zalve? Tell us about your t-shirt.
The developer
Oh,
of the
Jam
game
shirt.
gave it to me. I had the fortunate medium. He was like, "Do you want a t-shirt?" I was like, "Absolutely." And now this is one of the most treasured things that I put on my body.
All right, Zalve. We're not here to flex. We're here to talk about your new game, El Paso Elsewhere.
Which is
Tell us
itself
about
a flex.
it. Which is a huge flex. Like, I'm making a game and I've got a Told You I'm an Elsewhere t-shirt. Wow, living the great life. So you are from Strange Scaffold, a really cool little studio, and you've made a bunch of exciting games. But the one we're talking about today is El Paso Elsewhere, which it basically sold me on it the moment I read the description, which was supernatural neo-noir third-person shooter. I was like, I know exactly what that means, but there might be some people out there who are like, what the hell does that even mean? So tell us, what does that mean? What is El Paso Elsewhere?
It is a spiritual successor and evolution to classic shooters like Dead to Rights, Max Payne, and anything that goes bump in the dark, really. We're taking noir conventions and that genre and this very kinetic, physical way of interacting with the world in slow-mo and applying that to a nuanced story of monsters and love and of fighting your way through hell floor by bloody floor.
Awesome. What other games are out there, whether it's AAA or indie, are you looking to beyond, the obvious inspirations like Max Payne as things that are inspirational to you when you're making this game?
Unexpected influence is the Die Hard trilogy for PS1.
I love that game. I love that game.
That's why we're set in a motel, and that's why you're fighting in this bloody, darkened void. Not to get too personal, but a huge piece of this project comes from the idea and the fact that you can be anything in black these days, or at least that's what you're told. You can be president, you can be an astronaut, you can be a game developer. The one thing you can't be is black and angry. That's terrifying. That will terrify supportive white people. Being black and angry. Being black and justifiably raging against a world that itself is destroying not just people who look like you, not just your family, but also anything that doesn't fit into this very precise mold of how you are supposed to behave. So, long story short, we're making an original hip-hop soundtrack, including such lyrics as "terrorism is easy, be black in public," because there is nothing that more clearly expresses fighting through hell forward by bloody floor than some good
Twitch chat was very interested until he started espousing his political views.
So I'm hoping that
Of course.
through the gameplay,
It's
through the
exactly what I would have
narrative,
thought
and
Twitch
through
chat would be
our
doing
audio
right now.
layers, we are delivering the same sense of freedom of expression and critically feeling
Just thinking,
badass.
oh,
even
Twitch
if
chat
you're
is
just
not
sitting
gonna
in
like
your room
this.
in your underwear
Yeah, it's that
playing a
feeling of
game.
it's that feeling of knowing you can be yourself and be okay. Because I remember having that same feeling where I was like, I don't have to keep up with pop music just to fit in. I can just listen to rap if that's the only thing I want to do. And I remember I had that kind of realization.
Where was the fishing
around
game?
the same time Until the End of Time came out, Tupac Shakur's kind of album, and I just blasted the shit out of that
Oh,
album.
right, yeah, there was
And
a
it
fishing
one of the
minigame.
best months of my life.
Oh,
I was
right.
just gonna say, so we're talking to people who don't understand that, like, a
It
music
had
that
fish
song
and
like
everything.
Police
That means it's
isn't
an
like,
actual fishing
"Hey,
game.
we're going to jack up
Avery.
the police." It is an expression of, I cannot do anything against this overwhelming fascist force,
Yeah.
but I can rap, and you're going to hear every amount of this justified.
And does this
fury
current
and
game also
rage
count as
expressed,
like popular game but indie?
through
Yes.
music?
Zalavier, thank
That
you
means
so
I've already
much
got
for
a
taking
bingo.
some time out of your day to talk to us about El Paso Elsewhere. Hopefully we get to see more of it very, very soon.
You know, as a big fan of the classic Max Payne, I am definitely interested in Zalavier's team take on the genre. Next up, though, we have a developer that hails from the Philippines developing a tasty game for your senses. You know, every time I see a game that has to do with food in 4K, it makes me want to grab my phone and hit that DoorDash button to hop right in. But
Is this
let's
game what I
jump
think
into
it
some
is?
more trailers, and Tam will interview Chikon with Soup Pot in our next developer interview. Here is a world
Pot.
premiere.
Lovely.
This isn't Super Pot. What's going on? Like placing down platforms and jumping onto them?
It does seem like it.
Kind of reminds me of the other game with the... I can't think straight at the moment. The other game with the dancing raccoon.
I mean, that was just you at New Year's 2020.
About fake news and its effect on society. Following those topics has been very draining, both mentally and emotionally. I really needed a break, something that would be silly, colorful,
You know which
and
one I'm
gameplay
talking about, the
focused.
one that was like Super Meat Boy, where you place down
my
the
name is
obstacles.
Yaku, and I would like to tell you about our game.
Oh.
What's a better idea than a game where you play as a
So
little
rain on your
cloud
parade, I
and ruin
guess.
everybody's day? Limiting our protagonist to being a cloud was an interesting design challenge that actually spurred a lot of innovation. Sure, we can
Not
rely
battle
on weather
block,
powers like rain, snow, or tornado. What about different rain modes? What if you could rain acid rain and corrode
Super-
There was something...
What about
There
raining
was
fire?
something...
Fire. What about raining coffee?
There was something that sold me on this game, but I can't remember what it was.
Why limit ourselves to liquids? Why not rain bread?
Ultimate Chicken Horse.
That's the one.
Why
Ultimate
not rain
Chicken
swords
Horse.
and go on an epic adventure, solving quests and exploring dungeons? What if other games got invaded by the cloud? What if you were sneaking through a compound a la Metal Gear Solid? Or maybe Silent Hill, but you're the monster? Forcing ourselves to be a cloud give birth to many unusual, if hilarious ways of subverting player expectations. Always expect the unexpected.
I think it was the... This game had work... I think it was because that game had workshop support, and a lot of the stuff they were showing when they originally premiered it looked very fun.
What I can. Sometimes it's difficult. But when I do remember, I remember everything. The colors, the sounds. Oh,
yeah, sure. It is pretty toned up already, but I guess it's...
how I collect my memories.
I can't make it too loud, otherwise I won't be able to hear Mark.
But tell me, I'm still me. I must hold them close. Before it's too late.
It's an episodic thing.
And that's also a walking sim.
Yes, it is.
Oh, Avery.
I don't think Avery was literally crying at the trailer. So you're basically just trying to say that it's one of those trailers that was trying to be a tearjerker.
Lots of lads just standing about on these battlefields.
This one has a demo. Here's a...
Soup pot!
Soup pot. Some music that will quite possibly get claimed if I put this on YouTube. I do like this trailer.
Cooking is a comforting outlet for a lot of people, and
395
Filipino
dropped
studio Chicon Club
frames.
wants to give you the same warm and fuzzy feelings from their new game, Soup Pot. I'm joined by Gwen Foster, who has requested to be called Penguin Master, but is actually a technical director. How are you doing, Gwen?
I'm doing great. Thank you for indulging me in that request.
I like it. I'm always up for a bit of shenanigans, so I super appreciate you doing that. So my first question for you, Gwen, is tell us about Soup Pot. What is it, and why should people be interested in it?
So one of the things that the team itself like really wanted to do. So originally it was just Trina and me, who is the art director of the game. We wanted a cooking game that's just really focused on cooking. So you have games that like Overcooked, but it's more of management of the kitchen, which is still super fun. You have games like Monster Hunter that feature cooking, but it's more animation. But there are very few games, Cooking Simulator is one of them, that are actually focused on cooking itself. So we wanted to recreate that, but the gist is that where we grew up, we actually don't do recipes. And so like it's more of like heart or feelings or the voices of your ancestors, and we wanted to have that in the game. So we actually released a demo last year and people really liked it, so we made it a bigger game, which is Souppot.
Obviously, Souppot is coming from a team in Southeast Asia where not a lot of games come from, and that means that you have a distinct perspective. How much in terms of when you're creating the game are you thinking about, hey, this is an opportunity for us to not only put a real cool game out, but also educate people around the world about our culture? And I know I, for one, don't have a lot of exposure to Filipino food, and like now I see this not only as a game that I want to play, but also as an educational experience. How much do you keep that in mind?
The thing is that, and this might sound corny, is that, when you're making something, of course, start with what you know. So definitely, like, we wanted to do a cooking game, of course, like, if we go ahead and do, like, Italian cooking, we're not going to be qualified to do that. And so it's a good coincidence in a way, because like we just generally want like more of our food to enjoy. And the thing is that with food, the more like we delve into it, and because like we have DLCs planned that would touch on different cultures, the more we realize that there's just so many similarities across the regions, that it's really about ingredients and then like how you do things.
What do you think needs to be done, or what needs to happen for a region like Southeast Asia to become some kind of powerhouse in its own right, where people don't feel compelled to work for companies that are from other countries, but do what you do and put together a stronger presence in the region? What does the development community need to do, and what does the people outside of that, people who buy and play games, need to do to support that?
I think one of the things that hopefully doesn't get me canceled is that because we are from this part of region of the world, there is that like, oh, this game isn't worth this much money. And then developers also, fall to prey that like, because this is the notion of games like this, that we are of lesser quality, like even though we're just as talented, that they price their games too low. And then which like to a consumer also thinks that like, oh, this is too cheap, like maybe it's not worth my money. So that's one thing, like both from the consumer and players, developers perspective, like in terms of business. You see so many innovative games come out, and like kinder and just more fun games coming from the West, that people in Southeast Asia or any other region that doesn't have the similar access, they do also have those ideas, but they're not exposed to funding opportunities, they're not exposed to the right people. And Twitter does help, but at the same time, you just you have to have a strong heart and a thick skin to like get to a point where you feel like you deserve it, that hey, that's basically what happened to us, is that hey, there are no games that don't have recipes. That literally have a cooking game that has no recipes, or it's just like, hey, here are ingredients, do whatever
I already
you
had
want.
locally checked off for
yeah,
Zalavia's one.
I think that's mainly the thing, that the developers themselves have to feel like they deserve it, and at the same time they just have to make a really great game that hopefully, if luck falls on them, is something that everybody will get to love and enjoy to play.
So yeah, there's opportunities to support developers in these regions, and it doesn't mean getting something that's alien to you. It means getting something that's fresh and unique and in a lot of cases something that you already know, but coming from a new angle, which is always good.
Thank you also. Like this is super fun, and thank you for giving us this platform and giving us this opportunity.
All hail the Penguin Master. Thank you.
Now I'm extremely hungry for some hot pot, some pho, some ramen, some chicken noodle soup. I don't even know. We have another set of sweet game trailers and reveals for you to sink your teeth into. And then we'll be talking to the dev team behind the classic RPG-inspired artistic fever dream, She Dreams Elsewhere, from Davion Gooden and Studio Severe. Check out the trailer.
He is way too close to the microphone.
He also needs a pop filter.
Yep. This is the other game that was basically like 2D and top D. It's funny how there's like two different indie games that are being developed that basically use the same gameplay mechanic around the same time.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Yeah, this one has an entirely different aesthetic going on. Completely different game.
Welcome to Lahaina, a wonder of endless beauty and nature. Let your troubles melt away on this tropical paradise.
It's a puppy.
Relax your mind and soul on one of our breathtaking beaches, or stimulate your adventurous side with exciting activities found all over the island.
Oh no, this is bait and switch.
Keep you coming
This
again
is bait and
again.
switch.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience that is sure to bring you peace, serenity, and plenty of magical memories. Lahaina, the destination of a lifetime.
I will now gauge your interest in multiplayer by
Ooh, Labrat.
a multiplayer experience.
I played the demo for this, it's good.
We are doing this together.
It's kind of like Sokoban, but with one or two little
I'm Gwen Frey,
mechanics
and
added
this
on top.
is Labrat.
Good. You have unlocked a new puzzle. Begin the next puzzle. Good work. Here is your achievement.
You are a tester. Your job is to evaluate a puzzle game that is being crafted by this artificial intelligence.
I
It's
am
basically
taking
Sokoban, but it
your
also
very
has
own gun.
Portal humor.
Please be responsible.
Unfortunately, the AI has gained access to more data than we anticipated, and it seems to be generating new games based on whatever it finds.
The place where you live is dark and full of crimes.
I really like this
What are we
game.
going to do? There are so many guns. You have nothing on me.
For updates on the game's progress, you can follow me on Twitter. And
The
you can
developer
support us
made
by
another
requesting
game,
Labrat on Steam,
which was
or
exclusive
by
to
signing up
Stadia
for
for a
closed beta
while.
at labrat.study. Thank you.
I've forgotten the name of it though. It was the one. It was also like a Sokoban type game, except it was like where you play as a band type character, music. The musical one. Also, hello, She Dreams Elsewhere. I really want to play this game. I'm not good at remembering game names tonight. It is way too late.
Where you can shop till you drop with the best deals in town. Visit the world-famous Paradise Cinema, featuring wall-to-wall screens and
Now, is this Vaporwave?
and have a blast with the whole family at
It's
Luna
got
Tree
abandoned malls,
featuring our new
or rather huge empty malls.
attraction.
Yeah, this one is definitely queer themes.
Our courteous staff is here to serve you at all times. After all, only the best for our guests. So much variety, so much style. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, this is vaporwave music.
It's kind of vaporwave aesthetics translated through old computer graphics.
A place to explore, a place to dream.
By the way, bingo!
Okine was the other game that was developed by the person who developed Limrat.
Indie games are incredibly powerful because they often tackle themes, topics, and issues that are deeply human, but often sidelined by a lot of the major big budget titles. She Dreams Elsewhere is one of those indie games and is being made by one incredibly
It's an okay
talented
game.
person,
I got stuck.
Davion Gooden, designer,
Labrat is
director,
a lot better,
writer, and pretty much
from what I
everything
played.
else. Davion, thank you for joining. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. You know, the world's still kind of on fire, but other than that, you know, I'm vibing. How are you, man?
You know what? We will get to the world on fire bit because there's an interesting part of your development that I kind of want to check out. But first, like, tell us about She Dreams Elsewhere. What is it, and what do you want to explore with it?
If only we could all,
for sure.
we all could just
She Dreams
vibe.
Elsewhere, it's a surreal adventure RPG about dreams, nightmares, and all types of self-identity fun stuff. You're playing as a woman named Thalia, and you're in a coma. And you got to figure out like how you got in a coma, find a way to wake up, confront inner nightmares, and just have like this horrible trippy experience the entire way. So yeah, overall, it's a game about how it's like okay to not be okay, and like just to reach out to other people, like because you never know what they're going through, and all that other fun existential stuff like that.
One of my first questions with this game was seeing it was all you doing this alone, and also seeing that it's something that hits on like really personal themes. And we've seen a fair few like one-person development teams like that handles heavy subject matter, like Undertale's an easy one to grab. But what's that process like, making a game on your own, but also, for want of a better phrase, putting your pains into that game or your kind of like learnings into that game? What's that like, and what are the challenges day to day that people might not know because they just see a game that looks cool and it's like, oh, one-person development team. What is the true human cost of a one-person development team?
It's a blessing and a curse because on one hand, like I've pretty much been able to do exactly what I wanted to do with this game, and I'm like a weird guy with like a lot of like weird ideas. So let's just kind of like do that like unfiltered and just like do me, where normally in like a bigger development team it'd be like, it'd have to like pass like X amount of approvals, get past the marketing department, all this stuff. So having that freedom has been like super liberating. It's a little lonely sometimes, but it is fun, and there's very few things I'd rather want to be doing right now. So I'm very thankful for it, but also I'm very, very tired.
So you mentioned earlier that you enjoyed having the kind of autonomy to make the thing your own, but the support is really kind of tricky thing. Do you think we're getting to a stage where developing indie games is being supported by bigger publishers in a more meaningful way? We have the Xboxes going out there to find smaller developers and PlayStation and that. Do you think that it's getting better, and how do you think it could improve? The games industry could improve and support creators with unique voices so that there's more perspectives around?
I definitely do think it's getting better. Like even just the support that like I've gotten from big platforms like Xbox, Sony, or not Sony, Nintendo, all these like other platforms that are just like actually reaching out for like opportunities and just like just stuff just to support what I'm doing. That's like dope, and I don't think you would have like seen that, especially for a game like this, like even like 5-10 years ago. So that's really a big set. With that being said, we still got a hell of a lot of work to do, and I think that really comes down to like who is like working in the industry, who are like the gatekeepers of like this industry, and like who is like funding these projects, who is like getting these like deals like signed, and it's a matter of like actually like going out and like actively doing the work and like reaching out to like a more like diverse like just creative squad, actually going out and like putting your money where your mouth is and like just funding like actual projects, like not even in like the tens of like thousands, but I'm talking like millions. You know, like why isn't there like a Catwoman Nights Fund that like Xbox has, which is like funding like AAA games like made by like diverse teams? I know it's like happening in the background, but like we could do a lot better, I think. And it's crazy because like even like developers who are like, they might have like a few more people than me, but like, you know, we're still kind of doing the same thing. We're like the same age, like same experience level. Like they're still having like trouble like getting money. So it's like, what is happening here? I don't know.
Yeah,
Video games are weird.
There's definitely room for major publishers and platform holders being louder about doing it, because and giving people avenues about, you know, reaching out to put themselves forward, because I feel like, yeah, it's happening in the background, but it shouldn't be in the background. It should be in the foreground, so that people who may have these ambitions know that there is a path there, right? There's like almost like there's gatekeeping by not talking about it enough.
Right.
And we should be in a industry that is open about it and welcomes it. But yeah, I hope that we get to a stage where that is possible, and hopefully games like She Dreams Elsewhere does kind of help push that kind of path forward. Davion, thank you so much for taking the time out of your incredibly
I really
busy
hope the
day
whole game
to,
turns out to
talk
be a
to
good
us about She Dreams
experience. I
Elsewhere.
had a lot of fun with the demo.
Davion's development journey with She Dreams Elsewhere is really fascinating. He was a part of the Mix's Black Voices in Gaming freshman class, which was super awesome. I'm looking forward to the release. Next up, we have another set of trailers, and Tam will be heating it up with another spicy interview with Spanish developer Severio and co-founder of Troglodytes, who will share his team's game, Ito no Yami Blind Fate. Let's get it.
This looks pleasant as well. That's not pleasant. Oh no.
This looks like it could have some really wonky physics to it.
I like what I see.
I like the idea of it, but that's going to need a lot of tweaking.
I don't really have much else to say about that one. Purple Place Edition.
I'd say this was more pure puzzler than Automa Chef.
This feels like something I'd get very confused about, or at least I'm confused just by looking at it, but I might get it if I play it.
Detective.
As satisfying as that looks, I want to see what happens when it goes completely wrong.
It's a vibrant, neon-lit point-and-click adventure game set in a future Singapore in the year 2032. It's a dark world inspired by hard-boiled detective films, comics, and novels. But out of all of our sources of inspiration, one towers above all. The classic Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego games of the late 80s and 90s. And these were the games that inspired Chinatown's most important gameplay mechanic, real research. As you play the role of Amira Dharma, an ex-cop and Interpol officer, you'll encounter cases with puzzles that will require you to literally look beyond the game for answers. That's right, you're going to have to consult Google to find the answers to the puzzles that cover a range of topics in history, art, science, and cryptography. These cases will also see you traveling the world to exotic locations in search of the next lead or to track down a person of interest. In essence, it's a game that asks you to be a real detective. We hope you'll join Amira as she unravels conspiracies and infiltrates criminal syndicates amid a backdrop of a chaotic world hanging on by a thread. Chinatown Detective Agency comes out later this year on PC, via Steam, and a few other storefronts, and on Nintendo Switch.
That really was a you game. I don't have side-scrolling ninja game on my bingo board, but I recall that was one that we put on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this counts as side-scrolling ninja game.
I think I'm going to completely rework the indie boards and quite soon on the basis that indie showcases happen throughout the year.
Yeah.
The ones we've got here were just a handful that I put together in 10 minutes on a spur-of-the-moment brainwave. If we could have a lot more randomization, a lot more generic indie concepts that we're seeing a lot of.
Just dump a massive list.
It is my great
I know we're probably going to be seeing even more indie showcases next month as well. July is going to be full of stuff.
A super exciting anime-inspired action game that I love the look of. Severia, how are you doing today?
Hi, Tamara. I'm fine. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much. So, Edo no Yami, tell us a little bit about it. Blind Fate Edo no Yami, I should say the full name. Tell us a little bit about it. Where did the idea for it come from? It looks super cool.
Yes, thank you. The idea of the game comes, of course, by something innovative that we want to apply in the world of...
yeah, Tim Schafer is almost exclusively Day of the Devs.
Is blind, so you cannot see the environment. At the same time, he's also a cyborg, meaning that he can receive, handle data. And with the help of this data and of the sensors, it can perceive.
I think when we originally wrote up this board, we mostly had Day of the Devs in mind because that was the first thing.
Combination, it's a really cool idea, and will be welcomed by the public.
Yeah, that's a really cool intersection of two kind of concepts. How does it actually manifest in the video game? You talked about the character being blind and then receiving data. Can you break it down a little more so people who might not understand how that comes together can kind of get a grasp of how the game plays?
Yes, yes, indeed. There are some other concepts. He receives data in his brain about the environment. Okay, so he sees the environment like let's say Google Map, so you see everything, but those data are old. They are from the past because it was an apocalypse. Due to the narrative, there was an apocalypse, so now for instance, the environment has changed after so many years. So yes, you can trust the data that you have, but you cannot trust totally because there is a bridge, and then this bridge has collapsed. It does no longer exist. So you have to retrieve new data and guess who has those new data? The enemies. So you have to kill key enemies. They are machines, they have eyes, they record everything. You have to steal the data from the enemies, so you can see the world, how actually it
There was a
looks
point
like.
in time a few years back when Tim Schafer would turn up to every single
inspirations and where you kind of are looking to
indie
in terms
stream
of other games or
or
other forms of media in putting
Kickstarter
together the action at the core
video
of Ed
or
Online.
whatever.
Yes,
but I
inspiration
guess
from
he's had
from movies
kids since
actually,
then.
and games. I mean, the
Yeah.
movie about a blind samurai.
And also the
in
fact that
Zatoichi,
Double Fine is pretty
and,
much under
Blind
Microsoft
Fury,
now, so
if you if you
it's less of
remember
a reason to
those movies.
be getting around.
And okay, the settings, the futuristic settings, let's say, recalls a bit, let's say, just to say, Strider, and other games like the Ninja Gaiden and other
Probably
games that
been
we
very
loved
busy since that
in
happened.
our childhood. So
I don't
of
know.
course we meet together.
And there's also one more mechanic to do with sensing and sensors and smell and that kind of stuff. It sounded really fascinating when I was learning about it. Can you tell me about it?
Yes, sure. Being blind, of course, you see the environment, but you don't see the things that are moving on and what's inside. For instance, something is hidden. So you have three sensors: the hearing sensor, the heat sensor, and the smell olfactory sensor. So you can see the stimulus that are produced by the enemies or by the environment. Now, if the enemy is approaching you, you will see the ripple of the sound of the steps of the enemy. So you will see the enemy is approaching, you can react. If you are stuck in a room, you can use the other sensor to find a way out. So yes, the mechanic of the sensor helps you to navigate through the level and to fight. It's also a component to fight the enemies.
For a developer that is kind of smaller but and has this kind of big vision in the same way that a team like yours has for Blind Fate, what would you say, what piece of advice would you give them to take the risk or take the shot at their dream and make a game that they want to, even if they do feel that they might have some hurdles because they are smaller developers? How would you empower those kind of indie developers? What would you say to them?
So yeah, first of all, in my opinion, they should learn how to work together during some jams. There are many. Try to participate to any jams. Then you will see which concept you can work better, which is your reach in terms of cost, time, and production. And then once you have a let's say product you want to work with, well, at this moment you can start approaching, if needed, a publisher and to support your vision, as you said. So let's say start from very, very small things. We did, if I can, we start with our first game is Hyper Parasite, and then we moved a bit forward in the world of the indie, just because we were known among. We launched the game, so we were able to collaborate with 101 XP for this game with bigger ambition.
That's awesome. So stick together, baby steps, and you two can make a game inspired by Zatoichi and Strider. That looks pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Saverio, thank you so much for your time. Super excited to see more of the game and check it out ourselves. Thank you so much.
I was thinking that he did look
definitely
a little
my
nervous.
type of game. I want to grab my samurai sword, do a double backflip, and slice foes in half. With our final interview, we will travel to Japan to the hot springs with our friend Derek Fields, co-founder of Waking Oni Games, to talk about his soon-to-be released game, Onsen Master. But first, some more slick trailers and upcoming releases.
Brewmaster's making a game? Is it a game based on Brewmaster?
I guess this is Soup Pot, but for beer.
I know somebody who might like this. Gonna have to send this to them. Not only you, but I know someone within the demo scene who might be very interested in that.
It's time to release the Kraken.
What is this now?
It's called What the Duck.
No, it's not Truck. But I don't know, maybe Truck might be to be fair, a lot of demo sceners are into beer, so... I was thinking Reality 404 would probably be the one who would be interested in that. And basically one of the UK sceners who does one of the beer seminars for revision.
Too big for someone so small. You need to be taught some respect. So let me enlighten you.
What the duck?
What the duck?
Oh, why did I read that as what?
Because you're tired.
It's because I had I originally, when I read that, I thought it said whack the duck, so I read it as what the duck. Townscape is a good game.
Ooh, a Switch version of Townscaper.
That's another one for the bingo board. Yeah, after this stream is over, I'm going to go ahead and post it on Mastodon, because there's probably quite a few people who follow me who might be interested in playing that.
At a time where everyone is dreaming of relaxing in an onsen, Derek Fields, founder and director of Working Oni, wants you to manage one. Derek, what's going on here?
All centered on being a cozy game, centered on connectivity and bringing people together. Onsen Master was deeply inspired by a love for family films, especially Ghibli films, and I'm sure saying that out loud for some viewers, they might be able to catch some hints on what keenly influenced a game like Managing
Could you drop a
Hot Spring.
link in the chat to the
Spirited Away
Brewmaster
is,
thing, and I'll go ahead and
that's
post
very
it in
near
the
and dear
UK
to
scene
myself,
Slack.
my family, and it's something that brought us together on the couch and in the theaters anytime those were brought to our city. And it stuck around with me, wanting to create
Cheers.
a game that could center on those same things. What would it be like to manage a hot spring, to manage various spirits called yokai, and the different humans that are also visiting your onsen.
All right. So you mentioned a bunch of inspirations for Onsen Master earlier, and it sounds like it comes from a bunch of different, people and perspectives being involved in the studio and the game. So you've described yourself as a BIPOC studio. Can you talk a little bit about what that means, and also what impact that has on Onsen Master as you create it?
One of the things that I didn't necessarily have growing up were games that included characters that were black and brown. It was always interacting with a protagonist that didn't necessarily look like me. And so I would love to add into the games that are now being represented in media that do have people that look like us, and be a part of that space.
Do you think we're getting better, and do you think it's kind of being led by the indies in the industry?
Yes and yes. I think things are absolutely getting better. I think there are
certainly more games out there that are including people that look like each of us having this conversation now. I think absolutely indie games are championing this inclusion and this representation that needs to be seen.
I can't connect to Steam
across
for some
the
reason.
industry as a whole. And because of that, there are certainly more kind of AAA level games that are including more BIPOC characters, and some very notable games too. And so,
there we go. It's just loading very slowly.
Optimistic me. I don't want that to stop. I want to see more. I want just it to continue happening.
As people, I know we said that it's getting better, but it feels like is there ways for us to signal to the broader games industry, maybe even the AAA industry, to be like, hey, we really want this, and really break through in a big way? Do you think how do we do that? Do we just support indie developers, or do we, should an indie developer out there who may be thinking about making a game just take the jump and, do that thing that they think it might be a risk?
Yeah. When I think of that conversation, there are maybe 2 or 3 components that come to mind. One is the support, first and foremost, and ensuring that we are uplifting other developers who are building games and narratives that continue to add to the space of including BIPOC characters, and that also extends to LGBTQIA+ characters as well, and individuals within those games. It sends a signal. It sends a signal on social media when you start seeing certain stories being talked about, and how impactful they are for the community to see themselves represented. I'm not alone in experiencing Miles Morales Spider-Man, and how impactful having that sort of representation through and throughout not only the story but the communities that Miles played in throughout that narrative. And that's an example. When you see resounding feedback from Twitter and so on, it's important. I think for the other component, next to uplifting, is ensuring that we can provide resources to indie developers who are pursuant of that same endeavor, because a lot of the times people who come from these backgrounds are marginalized and therefore don't have the same access to resources in order to produce these ideas.
There is a very, very real cause and effect. So yeah, supporting games where there are BIPOC, LGBTQIA+ characters is super important. Thank you so much for your time, Derek. I think we could talk about this all day long, but
absolutely,
I'm sure you've got a game about making people manage onsen too, so I'll let you get back to that. But thank you so much. Those are just some of the awesome games being created by developers around the world. We had everything from drink cans fighting each other, to an action game with a duck, to a soothing town building simulator. And that's just a small selection of the amazing experiences that inclusive indie game developers are making around the world. Before we head off, I just want to give a huge thank you to all the indie developers and the publishers working with them who took the time and effort to create trailers for us and then talk to us. And I also want to thank everyone at GameSpot and The Mix for working so hard over the past few weeks to put this amazing showcase together. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Tam, it's so many great games and developers that we shared today. Exclusive and inclusive at the same time, which is great. The interviews were amazing. Thank you all for joining us. Thank GameSpot for showcasing these games. It means a lot to the developers. Of course, I'm also a developer myself. Again, my name's Justin Woodward from the Media Indie Exchange, The Mix at Indie Exchange, and we will catch you later. Peace.
That was a pleasant showcase.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nice one to wrap up E3 as well.
Some stuff I hadn't seen before.
Same. So E3 started off pretty good, and then it got boring, and then it ended on some pretty good stuff.
Let's face it, when it hasn't been specifically indies or console holders, it's been trash.
Yep. Indies pretty much stole the show. Well, not really literally stole the show, but you know what I mean. It's pretty much like the indies were pretty much the most interesting things going on throughout E3. And when there was anything interesting from AAAs, it was mostly either from Microsoft or Nintendo. Anyway, I think it is time to wrap up and do the final wrap up for E3 as well, because this is the last E3 event that I am covering.
We're not covering the awards? Gosh!
I'm not covering the awards.
Do they have anything to give awards to?
It's just going to be a load of nonsense for an hour.
I mean, I've been trying not to get onto the whole bandwagon of how crap this E3 has been, but having an awards for the E3 specific streams after all of this feels like a act of self-aggrandizement that it really does not deserve to have.
Yep. Speaking of the E3 award show, I will be in my Discord watching the E3 award show if anybody wants to join me to see how terrible it is. So, if anybody is in my Discord, or if anybody wants to join my Discord, if you're not in the Discord, I can link it in the chat as well. Feel free to join my Discord. I will be watching the Nonsense Awards. But, either way, that's it for E3. And for the final wrap-up, since I was doing bingo throughout the whole of the E3, I think I might take this opportunity to also make a temporary individual channel in my Discord as well to put all these together. If you have had any bingos throughout E3 or SGF, please post it in the new channel that I will be opening, and also let me know which game you want me to add to my backlog. And I know there's going to be quite a lot of bingos coming in. There is quite a lot happening throughout the event. I will also be posting an announcement in my Discord with info on how to send me bingos as well. So I hope people have been saving their bingos. Because it's a lot easier to just go over it at the end of the event rather than during the event. So anyway, that is it for me and E3. Not necessarily the end for SGF, though. If there does happen to be any additional SGF events announced, like a PlayStation State of Play or something like that, over the next month, I probably will be covering that on my stream. But outside of that, it is done for E3. E3 is pretty much over.
Thank goodness.
I'm glad it's over. I will be resuming my regular stream schedule this week, well, not this week, next week. Sunday is when I will be posting the schedule for what I will be doing the following week. So keep an eye out for that. If you have been following me previously, you probably know which games I am going to be playing. I'm very excited to play them. And I will see you all next week, or if there's a showcase suddenly announced, I will probably be covering that as well, but highly unlikely. So, good night everyone. I will see you in Discord for the E3 Awards show.
Good night, folks, and thanks for putting up with me.
Oh, thanks for putting up with me as well, and also thanks for putting up with the complete nonsense that E3 has had, especially yesterday's nonsense.
Bad taste in the mouth. Bad taste.
Yeah. Take-Two Interactive has no games.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Anyway, I'm gonna head to the goodbye screen and find somebody to raid.